the first thing people want to know is, what are the ramifications to the arrest? The second thing people naturally want to know is, how is this process going to work? How am I, David, going to help you with what you've been charged with? Here's how it works. The first portion of the process is an information gathering process. We have to gather all of the information. We have to find out exactly what happened. We have to find out exactly who all the actors were, what all the evidence is, what all the documents say. Once that information process is completed, there's a negotiation with the district attorney's office. That involves equities, that involves you as the person. For example, I had a client come in the other day who was charged with possessing cocaine. The client had been a cocaine addict for a long time. The plan for that client was to do treatment court and to get himself the help he needs right away. We were able to get the client into treatment court, get him evaluated. The client is now been in treatment for more than 6 months. He's doing well. His job is doing well. His family is back in his life. At the end of that process, his charges will be dismissed. Not all cases proceed along that track, but that's a good example of a possible outcome. Some cases have to proceed to motions, where we contest the validity of the search, where we contest the validity of how evidence was obtained. If ultimately that cannot be resolved in favor of the client, we discuss trial and other available options. So that's how the process works. We know the process intimately because we do it every day. And I think Melissa can tell you a little bit, maybe a little bit more about what that process entails.
Yeah, here's how I'm going to help you. As I've articulated, I think a little bit, David is very skilled at understanding the legalities of the process. What you're going to get from me is really to help you with how to deal with that process and how to move through it. In particular, I might connect you up with services in the community. I might refer you to individuals that are going to help you deal with your needs and with your family's needs. We're going to help you through that process if your ultimate objective is you might be looking at trial. I'm going to help you deal with who are the people that are going to come in at that trial and help support you. Who are going to be your support systems that are going to get you to hopefully a positive resolution. As David said, we hope that you don't have to go through a trial. That's a very difficult process, but certainly he's here and I'm here to help hold your hand and guide you through that very, very difficult experience if that's what you're going to need.
Most people's concept of a trial is that in this country, everyone's entitled to a trial. Although everyone's entitled to a trial, what everyone has to understand is not every person can afford the risk of a trial. Given the various facts in your case, given the various equities in your case, given on what's going on with you in your life, at this point where you find yourself charged with a drug crime, that has to be very carefully evaluated. A trial, although everyone is entitled to a trial, trials are not free. They are fraught with risk. So that is why it's so important as to the how part of we do things and how we gather information to help everyone be able to assess whether they can afford the risk of a trial. Really, it's not everyone's entitled to a trial, but not everybody can afford the risks of a trial. We will help you make that decision together. We will make that decision with you. We will educate you about that decision so that you know when you've come to that decision, when you've come to the ultimate decision in a case of bearing ultimate risk, that you have arrived at that decision knowingly and that you are comfortable. And those are one of Melissa's real strengths.
When David speaks about the risk of a trial, what we hope that you'll understand is that we are always willing to present your case before a jury. We're always willing to have your peers hear what happened to you. But what we want you to understand is the risk of a trial, particularly if you're concerned about your family and your life situation, could result, if your case is not successful at a trial, and you having to see some jail time. And perhaps for you and your lifestyle, knowing that that is a possibility, that kind of end game may be a risk that you can afford. So we hope that you understand that when we talk about the risk of a trial, we're not simply speaking about the financial consequences. We're speaking about life-changing issues. So what we will do is counsel you about what the possible risks are, versus maybe what the district attorney or the judge and us as your counselor are proposing in the way of some kind of settlement that you can actually live with and continue in terms of going on with your normal life, and how to continue where you started before you were actually arrested. That's the ultimate goal as far as we're concerned, is making sure that your life goes on as normal. And maybe a trial isn't a risk that you ultimately want to take. And we have to balance those equities and talk to you about those sorts of things. Ultimately, the decision is yours, and we will give you the best advice, we'll give you the best possibilities, we'll give you the consequences, but you're going to make that decision, and hopefully we've provided you with enough information that you feel comfortable making that decision.